All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're diving into this explainer on a guy who, honestly, didn't just play or manage football, he literally redesigned the very geometry of the sport. We're talking about Johan Cruyff. Now, whether you know him from those three back-to-back European Cup wins with Ajax back in the 70s, that unforgettable 1974 World Cup run, or his time building the legendary Dream Team at Barcelona, you know his fingerprints are absolutely everywhere. But as we're going to see today, his true genius wasn't just fancy footwork. It was his absolute mastery of a single concept, space. How you create it, how you exploit it, and ultimately, how you share it. Cruyff had this incredible belief in the absolute simplicity of the game. I mean, think about his philosophy for a second. It sounds almost too basic, right? First, pass properly. Second, control the ball. But for Cruyff, this was the non-negotiable foundation of literally everything he built. His logic was airtight. If you don't control the ball, you can't pass it. And if you can't pass it, you just can't dictate the game. Now, he wasn't just being a purist for the aesthetics. The guy wanted to win, plain and simple. But he firmly believed that the absolute best way to guarantee a win was to absolutely dominate the ball, and by extension, dominate your opponent. So this whole idea, which was heavily influenced by his time playing under manager Rinus Michels, really became the DNA of Cruyff's tactical brain. We all know it as total football, and it is just a beautifully fluid system. Instead of players being rigidly glued to one patch of grass like statues, everyone is in constant motion. They're swapping positions seamlessly. If a defender pushes up, boom, a midfielder drops back to cover. It requires this really profound shared understanding, so everyone knows exactly when to get close to a teammate and when to clear out. The end goal? To weaponize every single inch of the pitch. And his secret weapon for actually pulling this off on the grass? Triangles. Honestly, Cruyff was completely obsessed with keeping the ball moving. To do that, he set up a system where, no matter where you were standing on the pitch, you had to position yourself to form a triangle with your teammates. It meant whoever had the ball always had at least two passing options. This rapid, relentless circulation just created these massive spatial imbalances. It would pull the opposing defense totally out of shape and rip open dangerous areas to attack. This obsession with geometry totally shifted how teams lined up, basically birthing his famous 3-4-3 and 4-3-3 formations. He threw out the traditional playbook at Barcelona. He'd use a really unorthodox back three, often sticking a lone center back like Ronald Koeman back there to basically act as a deep-lying playmaker. Then fullbacks like Albert Frere would push way up to stretch the pitch or tuck inside to give the defensive pivot, usually Pep Guardiola, even more passing options. But the real masterstroke, the thing that just shattered opposing defenses, was having Michael Laudrup play as a false nine. Instead of hovering up top like a normal striker, Laudrup would drop deep into the midfield. It gave Barcelona a huge numbers advantage in the middle to keep those passing triangles humming, while completely bewildering the other team's center backs who suddenly found themselves marking empty space. Now, all this tight spacing also perfectly explains his really unique approach to defending. Defend by attacking. That was the core idea. Cruyff demanded his team maintain a super compact block. Because the players were so close together and the passing lines were so short, not only could they zip the ball around, but if they ever made a mistake and lost it, they were already right there to win it back instantly. He wasn't having his guys do exhausting, endless sprints. He relied on sheer tactical intellect. He famously pointed out that if you don't lose the ball in the build-up, it's practically impossible for the other team to counterattack. Okay, so we know he was a genius on the grass. He exploited space, won trophies, and brought absolute joy to millions. We literally still see his tactical fingerprints all over modern football today. But a massive pivot in his personal life changed his legacy forever. It really makes you wonder, what happens when you take someone with that unmatched ability to see connections, to see space where everyone else just sees obstacles, and you apply it to the real world? Well, that answer actually starts in the United States. When Johan was living over there, he had a little boy living next door who had Down syndrome. And Johan noted something. This kid never played outside with the other children. So Johan being Johan, he didn't overthink it. He just walked over, started kicking a ball around with the kid, and taught him the basics of the game. And in that one simple, really beautiful moment, Cruyff realized just how much integrating power sports actually have. It suddenly wasn't just about winning European Cups anymore. It was about human connection. And that realization hit him so hard that in 1995, he decided to launch a foundation with a completely new mission. He essentially engineered a brand new playbook, but this one was focused entirely on solving deep social issues. The Johan Cruyff Foundation was built on four main pillars: to create space for kids who don't always get the chance to play. First, tackling physical and mental health head-on, fighting that modern crisis of kids just sitting behind screens all day. Second, personal development, building up their self-confidence and communication skills. Third, social cohesion, which means actively bringing kids from totally different backgrounds together to fight loneliness. And fourth, livability, taking these run-down, scarce public areas in deprived neighborhoods and turning them into vibrant, safe sports facilities. To put this into perspective, the scale of this is just staggering. We are talking about 1.8 million kids and teenagers hitting these Cruyff courts every single year. They are finding a genuinely safe place to just be together, a spot to learn teamwork, make real friends, discover what they're actually good at, and, learn how to win and lose gracefully. The foundation is operating in over 20 countries now, and this isn't just guesswork or feel-good PR. This impact is actively monitored and scientifically proven by researchers at Utrecht University. The spaces that Cruyff engineered are literally changing the trajectory of kids' lives every single day. And honestly, the data backs up this massive growing legacy. They aren't just paving a court and walking away. There are 650 active Cruyff Foundation coaches worldwide transporting these communities. These are trained local professionals guiding the project so the kids get the most out of the space. Just looking at 2023 alone, the foundation backed 49 specific projects for children with disabilities, covering 24 different disabled sports. That means more than 18,000 children with disabilities are directly benefiting. It is a highly coordinated, massive effort to make sure absolutely no child is left on the sidelines. When you actually see these kids coming together, it's striking. It is exactly like his football philosophy, taking all these individual separate pieces and connecting them into a fluid, unified whole. Over half of the kids on a Cruyff court say they learn how to work together better, and almost all of the coaches report seeing genuine, lasting friendships forming between kids from completely different ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds. In a way, these courts are like modern community triangles, just constantly moving people closer together. And that vision of inclusion goes incredibly deep into their disabled sports programs. It just proves that giving equal opportunities in sports dramatically boosts a child's quality of life. For kids with disabilities, getting out and playing isn't just about physical health. It's absolutely crucial for breaking through socialization. The foundation hosts these amazing events, like this massive open day in Amsterdam, where over 1,000 kids, with and without special needs, get together and can try out more than 35 different sports. Whether it's adapted cycling, blind football, or wheelchair tennis, they are making sure the geometry of the game is accessible to everyone, no exceptions. The global footprint of this project is just massive, and they recently hit a huge milestone with the 300th court opening in Santos, Brazil. It was actually set up to honor both Cruyff and the legendary Pelé. From the Netherlands and Spain all the way to South Africa, Malaysia, and the Americas, the vision has just scaled so beautifully. Down at that court in Santos, community coaches are out there running tournaments and teaching kids core values like respect, strategy, and taking responsibility. It is such a fitting tribute to two of the greatest players in history, making sure their magic keeps sparking joy in the neighborhoods that need it the absolute most. So when you look at it all, Cruyff's genius wasn't just tactical, it was so deeply human. He passed his vision down to both elite, world-class managers and grassroots youth workers alike. On the pitch, his ideas are kept alive by managers like Pep Guardiola and Marcelo Bielsa, guys who treat football as a masterpiece of positional play. We see his influence every time a goalie calmly passes out from the back or a false nine drops deep. But honestly, his social descendants are just as important. Those 650 active coaches out there in the world right now are using his exact principles of space and connection to build healthier, more inclusive communities. He basically proved that greatness is really just about creating space for others to shine. Johan Cruyff taught us that whether you're standing on the flawless grass at Camp Nou or in a tiny concrete neighborhood court in Santos, the goal is exactly the same. Look up, see the connections, and make the right pass. He engineered space to win trophies, and then he turned around and engineered space to change the world. It's just an incredible legacy. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to chew on. Take a look at the space around you right now.